Good morning, students. In the previous chapters, we have been learning about different forces that bring changes on the surface of the earth. They are endogenic forces and exogenic forces. The endogenic forces may be slow or sudden. Slow movements can uplift or subside the earth's surface on a large scale. On the other hand, sudden movements are responsible for quick changes on the surface of the earth. And these are either volcanic activities or earthquakes. These activities give us indication of an unstable conditions prevailing deep below the earth's surface. A volcano is a vent. You can see over here a small area which is called the vent. It is a narrow opening on the crust of the earth with an underlying magma chamber, and it is connected by a conduit. Conduit is a kind of a pipe. From here, the molten magma, rock fragments, gases, steam, and ash come from deep below the surface. You can see over here how the molten magma comes out from this vent, and the lava, once it comes out, it is known as lava. It accumulates near the vent and forms a small triangular shaped feature. Now the vent is nearly circular in form, and the material ejected out gets accumulated all around it, giving a shape of a cone or a volcano. With time, this volcanic accumulation becomes bigger and bigger due to successive volcanic eruption. Volcanology is the science which deals with the study of volcanoes, and the scientists who study about volcanoes are known as volcanologists. Now, how does a volcano comes to origin? Now, the earth, you all know, has concentric layers of the crust, the mantle, and the core. The temperature inside the earth is extremely high, to the tune of about 1 degree centigrade for every 32 meters of depth. The temperature below the crust, you can see the crust over here, so the temperature below the crust is high enough to melt all the rocks. Now sometimes faults or fissures or cracks are formed on the overlying layer due to excessive pressure of gases. In such cases, the pressure of overlying rocks on the molten matter is released, which lowers the melting point. I hope you are understanding. Now here it is very hot, but there might be some cracks on the surface, some place of weakness through which the heat is released. Now because of the release of the heat, the pressure which was built up over here is also released, and this lowers the melting point over here. Hot and semi-solid rock materials turns into liquid. This liquid molten rock is known as magma, and it starts to rise to the surface through the cracks of line or weakness. From this diagram, you can see how the molten magma finds a vent, and from here it begins to rise and comes out with a great force, which is known as volcanic eruption. So the magma starts to eject out from the interior, and this process is known as volcanic eruption. You might be seeing how lava is oozing out and is getting accumulated on the sides of the mountain. These are the older layers of lava. Here there is a vent or an opening on the side of the mountain. This is the main vent, and when the volcano erupts, it not only allows the lava to come out, but the rocks which had plugged the opening of the vent when the lava was not ejecting out, that breaks, and you can see the rocks which are flying high from the opening or the mouth of the volcano. Now after a few days of eruption, the rising magma gets cooled and solidifies near the opening. The opening in the crust is sealed. Here also the opening gets sealed. Thus the volcanic eruption stops. Now there are major three types of volcanoes: active, dormant, and extinct. So on the basis of frequency of eruption, let us learn about active volcanoes. Now these volcanoes which constantly eject lava, gases, ashes, etc. are known as active volcanoes. There are about 600 active volcanoes in the world. Mount Stromboli and Etna in Italy are famous volcanoes which are found over here in this part of the earth. Then we have Mauna Lea in the Hawaiian Islands are some of the active volcanoes in the world. India too has one active volcano, and it is situated in the barren island of Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which are to the southeastern part of India. There are several other active volcanoes like Mayon in Philippines, Cotopaxi, and they all are found in the region of the Pacific Ring of Fire. Most of them are concentrated in the Pacific Ring of Fire. You can see this is the Pacific Ocean, and most of the active volcanoes are found in this part of the earth. Next we come to dormant volcanoes. The volcanoes that have erupted in the past geological periods but have remained inactive for a fairly long period of time are known as dormant volcanoes. Such volcanoes might erupt and can become active once again in the future. The dormant volcanoes are associated with a belt of young fold mountains where the crust is highly unstable. So, from this diagram, you can understand that in an active volcano, the magma chamber is very active and constantly or very frequently the volcano erupts. However, a dormant volcano is known as a sleeping volcano. Here, the magma chamber is not so active. It is slowly getting filled up, and it might not erupt for a very long period of time. Mount Vesuvius in Italy was considered an extinct volcano because it remained inactive for a very long period of time. But suddenly it erupted very violently in 79 AD and totally destroyed the ancient city of Pompeii. The entire population was buried alive. So you can see over here how the entire population was covered with lava, hot cinder, that is ash, which completely wiped away the population of Pompeii several hundred years ago. Still, we can find several settlements around the volcano of Vesuvius. In 1631 and 1945, Vesuvius had erupted again. Now this is the photograph of Mount Krakatoa, which you can see on your screen. This volcano was also considered an extinct volcano, but it erupted violently in the year 1883. It erupted so violently that the entire mountainside disappeared, and the noise of the explosion was heard nearly 5,000 kilometers away. Dormant volcanoes are considered to be the most dangerous volcanoes because people might be caught unawares and many people might die because of the occurrence of these dormant volcanoes. Mount Vesuvius and Mount Krakatoa are the best examples of dormant volcanoes. Next we come to extinct volcanoes. Now the volcanoes which were active in remote geological times and have not erupted again for a very long time, and there might not be any possibility for their eruption in the future, are known as extinct volcanoes. Ben Nevis in the Rocky Mountains, Mount Kenya in Africa, Mount Aconcagua in the Andes are examples of extinct volcanoes. Now the world distribution of volcanoes. There are many evidences of volcanic activities during the past geological periods in most parts of the world. At present, there are about 500 active volcanoes in the world. All these red marks which you see, they are all active volcanoes. Several are scattered in the Atlantic Ocean and also in the Pacific Ocean. Most of them are associated with unstable portion of the Earth's crust. All these areas are highly unstable and where most of the fold mountains are located. So we all know that fold mountains are located in the western part of North America, South America, around the circum-Pacific belt or the ring of fire. Nearly 80% of the total number of active volcanoes are located in this belt. And that is why this ring, a horseshoe-like shape which they form, we also call it the Pacific Ring of Fire, is having nearly 80% of the total number of active volcanoes. The major areas of active volcanoes over here include the Andes in South America, the Rockies in North America, the Aleutian Islands in Asia, and the Kurile Islands in the eastern part of Asia, Japan, Taiwan, Philippines, and the islands of Indonesia. This belt further extends up to New Zealand. Some famous volcanoes in this belt are Mount Chimborazo, Cotopaxi in the Andes, Mount Fujiyama in Japan, Mount Mayon in the Philippines, Mount Krakatoa in Indonesia. So apart from this circum-Pacific belt or the Ring of Fire, we have another belt of volcanoes, and they are the Mid-World Mountain Belt. Here you can see on your screen the mid-world mountain belt. It starts from the western part of Europe and Africa. Several active volcanoes are found, like Stromboli and Etna in the peninsula of Italy. Then it moves further, passes through Iran, parts of Himalayas, turns towards the south and merges into the circum-Pacific belt in Indonesia. Now here there are less number of active volcanoes. The important active volcanoes are Mount Vesuvius, Etna and Stromboli, about which we have already talked about. There are some important volcanoes which are now extinct, and they are Kilimanjaro and Mount Kenya near the Rift Valley, which you have already studied. Some of the islands like Iceland, Cape Verde and the Canary Island also have a few scattered volcanoes. Now, what are the effects of volcanoes? Volcanoes can cause heavy destruction of life and property. The fast moving lava, you can see over here, the lava which is coming out from a volcanic eruption, can destroy settlements, that is houses, roads and all important structures. They can also kill population, destroy animal and plant life. Cultivated areas can also be buried under thick layers of volcanic ash and lava and might become unsuitable for cultivation. Volcanic eruptions in oceanic islands can be highly destructive because they can lead to high tsunami waves, and they can cause large scale flood, destruction of coastal areas and settlements, as well as many cities can be destroyed. Heavy rainfall can also occur due to explosive eruption of volcanoes that can result in heavy clouds, and they can lead to very heavy rainfall which can ultimately lead to landslides and floods. However, there are certain constructive features of volcanoes also. Now, due to the lava which is stealthily coming out from the cracks and fissures, they can spread in large areas to form fertile lava soil, as it has been found to be formed in the Deccan, which is now consisting of black lava soil. It is very rich in moisture retentivity and is very suitable for the growth of cotton and sugarcane. Most of the precious stones and certain minerals are also found due to volcanic activities. The diamond mines at Kimberley in South Africa is the result of volcanic activity that took place over there in large areas in the geological past. So you can see over here, due to pressure of overlying land and because of the nearness to the magma, the heat and the pressure has led to this area to have large amount of diamonds. Volcanic regions have also got many hot springs and geysers which contain water rich in minerals. The mineral-rich water is considered to be having medicinal properties. Some of the geysers and hot springs are also used to generate geothermal energy in Iceland and several other places where it is very cold and the geothermal energy is used for providing heat to the houses. Volcanic regions also attract tourists because of their scenic beauty. For example, the Yellowstone Park in USA attracts thousands of tourists all over the world every year. So with that, we complete this chapter on volcanoes. I hope you have got a proper idea as to what are volcanoes and what are the different types of volcanoes. So that is what we have enough time for today. Thank you.